everybody, this is True Demon the Devil Stockbroker. I apologize in advance for the terrible audio quality while I record this, but I wanted to give some context to my recent research on RDBX. So, I was studying the options chain, and I noticed some very strange inconsistencies, which showed up mainly on the most recent options contracts for this particular stock. And what I noticed was that the open interest on puts and calls is not being accurately reported anymore. It's just a whole bunch of open interest that's reporting is not available, or that the data is just not present. In addition, what I noticed is that the last prices of several of these options have completely fallen through. And what that means is that the actual last traded price of that options premium has just dropped to nothing, even though some of these prices are actually in the money. And what's upsetting about this is because, as most people know by now, that the Options Clearing Corporation, or the OCC, has uniformly decided that brokers need to shut off all options trading on Redbox, and that all open contracts must go to position close only. And I'm hearing rumors, this is not confirmed, but there are rumors that the brokers are issuing sell orders on behalf of their clients without actually getting a trade request. They're manually executing these trades in order to forcefully close people out of their positions. And I'm just completely fucking floored that this is actually happening in our market right now, but I'm more upset that this was all caused by market makers which thought that they could use options as a source of liquidity in order to fuck over retail for yet another time. And it didn't work for them because we kept buying as we do, holding on to our positions with shares and options. And unlike before, we bought both puts and calls, as illustrated by the volume that was traded on both sides of the stock's underlying price. So you have a bunch of retail investors that figured out how to hedge themselves. So no matter which direction these market makers take the price, they get screwed. So because we learned how to hedge, now they suddenly decided that they have to take options to position close only, and they're citing some excuse that Redbox didn't meet the requirements for options trading, or because of the merger, and none of the brokers are agreeing on what the actual reason is, which is total bullshit. But moreover, they actually have the ability to just call up the Clearings Corporation and shut down options trading on this stock. And basically they set the bid and the ask price on the options for whatever they're putting up on offer. And that's what we're supposed to take. And like, some of us paid hundreds or thousands of dollars on these options contracts, and they're offering like $75 or $100 for contracts that were deep in the money. Like, look, these $10 contracts are trading. These are not expiring until next Friday, July 1st, and their last executed price was $180 a contract for a price that's already $2 in the money. The delta on this contract is already lifted to 90.90, so intrinsically the value of this option should be at least $2 per share, or $200 per contract, at least. That doesn't include the extrinsic value from time and volatility, which this stock absolutely has. So the market makers are fixing these prices at extremely low prices, and they're getting the brokers to fill these fucking orders for retail. It makes no goddamn sense. They're literally stealing our options without our permission. So whatever happens on Tuesday when the bell opens, I have no idea which direction this stock is going to go, and I honestly don't know what's going to happen anymore, because this is a clear case of manipulation where the market makers and the brokers are working together with the Options Clearing Corporation to shut retail out of a good trade and force it into a bad trade, and force us to sell our contracts at prices which completely defy logic or any fair valuation. So fuck that. This is what I'm going to do. I want to preface this by saying that this is absolutely not financial advice, and by following my advice, there is a very good chance that any option that you bought already, whether it's a put or a call, may end up being worthless by the time that this is over, no matter what the stock price is. And I have no idea what the outcome will be from this trade. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm not recommending that anybody else do this. But I am going to set a limit sell order on all of my options for the maximum delta value that I can think of. So what do I mean by that? I am setting my option to sell at a maximum intrinsic value. I have a situation where if you have puts, the maximum delta value is, if the stock goes to zero, then it's whatever your strike price is. So if you have a $10 put, it's a 10 strike, then the intrinsic value is $10. You set the price of your option for $10 per share, and that is your sell order. $10 per share, roughly $1,000 per contract. So if the stock were to go to zero, then you would get executed or filled at $10 per share, $1,000 per contract. If it's a call, however, I'm imagining a ridiculous price for the red box options, and I'm going to set a fill for $50 minus my strike price, just the difference between. So if it's a $10 call and you imagine what Redbox would sell for at $50, then the delta value would be $40, or roughly $4,000 per contract for a 10 strike call, regardless of expiration. And this is what I am choosing to do. Now, I know that I could sell out of my contracts and I could get something for them, but it won't be much. They're not going to be worth hardly anything. And to me, it's not worth it. But I also know that by setting a limit order, I am contracting the broker to fill me at that price or not at all. And as long as my order is held out there in the order book, they are obligated to hold it there at my request. The broker is not permitted to cancel my order unless it is totally rejected by the exchange. So this is the only way that I can think of in order to actually issue a demand for a price that I want and prevent the broker from manually executing my trade at less than the value that I would ask for. So for me, my asking price, if you're imagining a $10 strike call or whatever it is, it's $50 fucking dollars per share. And that's just what I'm choosing to do. Again, this financially doesn't make sense. The valuation of Redbox doesn't make any sense. The chances of the stock actually getting there makes no sense. But if we're going to do anything to protect ourselves, if there is anything that we can do to protect ourselves, it is to set a demand and draw a line in the sand. If they want to take our options down to nothing, then they're going to do it anyway. If they have that capability, they will do it regardless of what we attempt. So for me, this is all or nothing. I will make every attempt to sell my contracts for something that I perceive is worth it. And if I don't get filled, if I don't get my trade executed, if I lose all of the money in my contracts, then I guess it's no different than if I waited till expiration and they were out of the money. And that's the risk that I accept as an options trader. But if I'm right, and if they're truly scrambling, and these options are being closed out against our will, then one, this is the only act that I can take in order to protect myself. It is the only way that I can document that I made a demand, and if the broker defies me or goes against my wishes, then they have breached their fiduciary duty, they have broken their contract with me, and it will be documented in the trading ticker tape. And finally, if there is manipulation going on, this is the only way, which is by mass demand of a fair price. This is the only way that retail can ever hope to possibly get back any value out of their contracts. So that's how I'm trading this. If it doesn't work out for me, then, well, I guess that's the risk that I assumed when I took the trade in the first place. But if I'm right, then I expect to get paid. So, whatever happens, know that I'm in this to the end, and I have set my demands for the market makers that if they really want my contracts back, they're going to have to pay for them. I'll see y'all at the bell on Tuesday. Peace.